hello, someone's already here. Alright. Well, hello. So I have the house to myself, and I don't know what to do with myself, so I've just been sitting around, and I thought we could sit around together. Because, like, why not? Yeah, no. Like, usually I would take the chance of an empty house to, like, film a video, but there's nothing I really need to record at the moment. So here I am, just sitting around. I guess with the ongoing anhedonia, I don't actually know what to do with myself. So, yeah, sitting around. That's what we're doing. We don't have to sit around quietly though. So, just make sure I've got the chat set up right. Yes, looks fine. Haven't really streamed on a phone for a while. But I've got the house myself, so I don't have to stay in my room. Which is nice. I can get a bit of sun on me. Yeah. So you know live chat is a thing, whoever's watching. I know there's some of you who don't like to make your presence known. I can see that you're watching, but yeah. Alright, I guess we'll just like sit around. Hope he's over there, out of frame. Oh. I guess he got a bit hot. Hello, Vita Gummies. How's life? Just boring, I guess, because I don't know what to do with myself. Like, I have all this time. Oh, hello! Wow, I think that might be the first, like, super chat I've got on the phone, and it just comes across the entire screen, like, bam! Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so, hang on, how do I bring that? Oh! How do I? Oh, there we go. Yeah, this might be the first time that I've live streamed on this phone as well. Yeah, good afternoon. Yes, it is afternoon here in Sydney. We're still in lockdown for a few more days, and then we do the first lot of opening up, which isn't going to change my life a lot, but you know, we've got rehearsals for Hello Scream coming up. That's about all I've got going on, to be honest. Yeah, no, I just don't know what to do with myself. So life is boring. And I think it's like my own brain's fault. Like, there's so much that I could be doing and I'm just uninterested. So here I am sitting around because I don't know what to do with myself. So apart from making videos, I guess the other thing I would do if I had the house myself like this might be to record some music, but I haven't actually done any singing for a while, like not even mindlessly while I'm doing my finance job. Missed out on the perfect opportunity to start a revolution. Oh, well. What opportunity is that though? And what revolution? Commander of what though? Commander of what? Of sitting around. It's nice not to have to sit around in my room, I guess, because like my room is on the dark side of the house, appropriately so. But it's the coldest room, darkest room. It's nice to just like laze about in the sun for a bit because I probably do need that vitamin D. I mean, I've been going for walks like every day. Hello, Scream! Yes! Yeah, it's too bad I can't really tell you anything. And actually, I don't really know a whole lot. Uh... Okay, the second time you wrote Austrian rather than Australian. Um, but yeah, no. Australia isn't like that. Culturally, I think we're different to other, you know, places tied to Britain in history. Um, so we don't really do the militia thing. And also, like, we have proper gun control and we're not like that. So it's interesting looking at, like, America and Australia sort of come from similar, like, come from the whole British colonization thing, but our cultures are quite different, which is just, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, we had emu wars and we lost. Yeah. Although I think we eventually did get the emus under control, but like the Great Emu War was not a success for us. Um, Maybe that's why Australia's not real. It's actually a country run by emus, and we're just the actors to convince you that, it's still run by people. Actually, it's a land of terror run by the emu overlords, and I'm part of the propaganda machine to make you think that it's just like every other country. Um, I could be an emu in disguise, and you guys wouldn't know. Oh dear, it's such an Aussie thing though. Why isn't this scrolling by itself? All hail the emus. Yeah, people are worried about lizard people. It never occurred to them that it might be the emus. Although emus being birds are related to dinosaurs, which are, all part of the same thing, right? So it's just a progression of the whole reptilian thing, except we've gone avian one step further up. Um, Massive birds in your backyard. Oh, we've got the bush turkeys, but they're not that big. Like, they're bigger than the average bird that visits. And they only come by every now and then. I think they've sort of figured out to stay away most of the time. They usually sort of hang out in the more bushy areas of the suburb. Um, but there's a lot more than there used to be. Like, when I was a kid, you never saw bush turkeys. The first time I saw a bush turkey was probably when I went on, one of those school camps, year 7 camp, I reckon. And there was a bush turkey just, scratching around. It was, where was that? I don't even know where that was. But, they take you all on a bus and you go miles away and, do the whatever activities it was we did. So long ago, I don't actually remember. Apparently, though, I sleep talked. Because you got your class. I think we were in sporting groups, and everyone's in this big cabin with bunk beds, and yeah, apparently I just like sat up in the middle of the night going, "Don't do it." Although I don't know whether I can trust my classmates, because keep in mind this is you know, Catholic schoolgirls, and would you really trust them? Would I trust them? They are they dangerous? Nah, nah, and they're so wimpy. They're about the same size as Hope, but they run the moment they see him. Um, uh, so yeah, they're just these big, clumsy, awkward birds. They don't fly very well. Like they can, but they don't. They're very clumsy about it and kind of slow to get going. And they really only fly when they absolutely have to. It's the impression I get. Apparently, they're not very tasty to eat though, and the only people I think who would be allowed to even try eating them would be, the indigenous population. But yeah, apparently they don't taste good. There's a reason that humans breed livestock and plants to fit our tastes and our requirements. Like the chicken is bred from a wild bird, and we just sort of like saw their natural life cycle and sent it into overdrive. And it's like what, broccoli, and there's a whole bunch of those plants that are actually based on the one original wild plant, and we just selectively bred them for different things. There's some of them we bred for leaves, some of them we bred for flowers, all that kind of stuff. and that's how we end up with all the weird vegetables we have today that aren't entirely natural. And so the bush turkey, being a wild animal, is not a lot of fun to eat. Um, you could eat it if you had to, but it's not something that we've spent thousands of years trying to make tastier or whatever. Um, Sometimes these days, the quest for the perfect crop or whatever doesn't go so well. Like, you know, we try and make the animals bigger and fatter because then you have like, I guess, more kilograms per animal or whatever. And we've done a similar thing with some crops. And yeah, breeding for size doesn't always come with taste or quality or whatever. And the one that I think my mum laments the most is the strawberry. Because I'm actually growing some wild strawberries, but they're really, really tiny. But the taste is really concentrated. Um, Problem is, we don't really get enough to make up for the shortfall compared to supermarket strawberry. Although I am trying to grow some supermarket style strawberries, so we'll see how that goes. Whether growing them myself makes them better or what. I guess it depends what breed of strawberry you get. And I'm just probably talking out my butt most of the time, but things I've picked up around the place is the wild strawberries taste better, but they're too small. So then we've tried to breed bigger strawberries with a bit of sacrifice in taste. Anyway, that's us as humans manipulating our environments, because of course we do. That's one of our big successes as a species, but also potentially one of our big tripping up points if we're not careful about what we do. Oh, that was a bit of a ramble already. Miss anything? No, you've all gone quiet. That's okay. We can sit quietly as well. Yeah, no, it's funny how my brain does sponge information. Oh, it isn't moving again. Hello! Hello, hello. Yeah, I'm home alone with nothing much to do, so let's just enjoy the quiet while we have it. If I do disappear all of a sudden, though, it'll be because mum's come home. But yeah, no, everyone's out, which is, yeah, unusual these days with lockdown, so yay. I've just been on a ramble about the way humans selectively breed plants and animals to live off. Just came out of nowhere. Oh my god, it's not. Is there any cannibal Aboriginal tribes, or do you guys keep children? I'm pretty sure there's not cannibalism with Australian Indigenous people, but I don't know about every tribe. Like before the British invaded, there was like 400, I think, tribes, something like that. And a good lot of them didn't survive. So, it's possible that there could have been one, but I'm not aware of it being a thing. I think that's more like, some of the islands further north, maybe PNG or, yeah, I don't know. It's not a topic I've spent a lot of time on. Yeah. But yeah, no, there used to be a lot more tribes across Australia. But like it's the usual thing. That sort of Europe to Asia landmass. There's so many people in it, and like the geography is a particular way so that it could sustain early populations of people. More people means more disease, and yeah. So once they started branching out from there and bringing it to new places, like in the North American tribes or Australia, the diseases get out and the people there haven't got immunity. So that's one of the things. And then, of course, there's conflict and all that kind of stuff that happens. So, yeah, I think we don't know a whole lot about some of those old tribes that disappeared. Something just popped up. I always wondered if we breed animals and plants to be tasty, would cannibals do likewise? No, I think cannibalism probably has different purposes. Like it's less to do with food and more to do with superstition, but I could be wrong. And then also, it's very inefficient. Um, I think that's one of the arguments that some vegans make, although uh, it's sort of a weird balance because, like, in meat, certain nutrients are more bioavailable. So, yeah, it's like inefficient in terms of like how much food you get, but the quality of it and digestibility and some of the different things that you can't get from plants and all that. But with humans, though, like, especially because we're omnivores and I don't know, like it's like if you got the chain right, the plant is the most basic thing and you can eat that. But if you get an animal, the animal has to eat plants first before it becomes food. And if you think about humans eating both, it's inefficient. So it wouldn't make sense to breed humans for food that way. Because then you're like feeding other humans, like it's this weird loop. It doesn't really make sense from an efficiency perspective. Successfully hijack the stream. Yeah, well, why not? Like, I've got nothing else really to do as long as like you don't go too crazy. um, because otherwise I was just gonna sit here being like, yeah, because that's what I've done most of the mornings. I've just sort of sat around, like, yep, got the house to myself. Too bad I have no inspiration for any projects. And another thing I would do sometimes in this room is just like make weird noises because it's a little bit more echoey than my room, and then Hope would get involved, and then we'd have like a howling match, but I just don't have the energy really for that. I hate that this isn't going up by itself. Most cannibal tribes are what is called intro cannibals who eat their dead as a sign of respect for the dead. Yeah, see, I think it's more like culture and superstition. And then the other one that I've heard, like I don't know how accurate any of it is, but the other one I've heard is like, when you defeat an enemy and you're trying to bring qualities of that enemy into yourself, or sometimes a respect for the enemy, things like that. So I think cannibalism tends to be more of that rather than trying to sustain, your population. And yeah, it's just sort of an inefficient way to do it because you still have to feed them something. Um, yeah, and you're not really gaining anything extra from the humans that you couldn't have gotten from some other animal, especially an exclusively vegetarian animal. Then they can also mean homeless populations. No, see that doesn't really make sense to me either. Because like your question was more about like selectively breeding them, right? And so like a homeless population isn't selectively bred. That's just a sad side effect of our society. Hunger Games. I actually haven't watched the Hunger Games, so I don't even know what that's about. But no, there's some like if you've heard that there was that plane crash somewhere, I don't remember, and they were stuck in the mountains for ages, and they ended up having to eat each other. That was a very desperate sort of survival thing, and it wouldn't have been sustainable. Like if they hadn't gotten help fast enough, they would have all just like eaten each other until there was nothing left and then be dead. So yeah, you still need to have something else going around, and if you've already got other plants and animals around, you'd eat them because it's more efficient. In cartoons, cannibals are always adding veggies to the humans, and they could just eat the veggies. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. Yeah, there's not a lot to be gained from humans, and then it's there's the issue of disease, particularly in the brain. There are some, I think it's like a prion disease or something, which I don't remember what a prion is, but yes, that's the one, Alive. And it's like a true story. And like there's a documentary as well. Well, there's probably more than one by now. Yeah, no, eating humans is dangerous. It's also like eating dogs can be a little bit dangerous, especially I think if you eat the liver because there's high vitamin A or something, and if you have too much you can die. And there was this explorer, Australian explorer, who went to Antarctica, like, back when that was really difficult. And I don't remember what they were trying to do, but they ended up in trouble, and on the way back, yeah, they ate the dogs, and one of the guys was a bit more sick than the other, so they were giving him the softer parts, which I think was the liver, or maybe it was the kidney. I don't know, one of those soft organs, and it turns out because of the vitamin A, like the human body can't cope with that level, and so it did not go well. And dogs are also omnivores. So like eating a pure vegetarian animal makes sense, but it seems like when you go to more omnivorous animals, it can be a little bit tricky. Although chickens are omnivorous, like they will eat each other quite happily and eat their own eggs quite happily if given the chance. So there's probably some nuance to it. But we also do chickens for their eggs because they have that natural life cycle that's just gone nuts. Carrots by themselves are okay, but caramelized carrots with slowly stewed beef or pork is tastier. Do you know carrots used to be like purple or something until we bred them? Funny. Any vegetables to meat dishes? There was like movie Cannibal the Musical. Haven't heard of it. Oh yeah, I see. I don't know the things that you guys are talking about. No, vegetables do have things like that. You can't get everything from one kind of food, really, and so like I don't like vegetables, but I'll eat them because I have to. Um, and yeah, really, like we well, it depends on what part of the world you're in, but a lot of us eat more meat than we probably should. It used to be a luxury, but now it's much more available. There's a lot of people, I think, particularly in America, who eat way too much. Hey, Field Marshal Airsoft. Yeah, I'm home alone, so we've got some peace and quiet, and I'm just sort of sitting around, and you guys are chucking things at me, and I'm going on a ramble, and try to make it sound like I know more things than I do. It's all off the top of my memory. Remember that, like, anything I say, guys, take with a grain of salt, because I am going like off the top of my head memory stuff, and memory is not 100% reliable. And you can get false memories, and your memories can also get mixed up. And I have had a few moments where I've been like, oh shit, my memory was not right. So yeah, that's important to remember. After me just saying memory is, yeah, no. So I wouldn't really trust everything I say. It's just, yeah, my brain absorbs all these random details, and then hopefully it spits them out with a reasonable degree of accuracy, but I wouldn't trust myself completely. Just like, I can't really sit around looking everything up just to make sure I don't tell you guys some bullshit. And at least I know that, I'm flawed that way, because there are some people out there who act like they know everything 100%, and no. Almost everything we remember and misremember. Yeah, like, memory is not perfect. I mean, there's some people who have much better memories than the rest of us, but in general, yeah, because, it's all squishy brains and stuff. We're not computers. And also, like, our brain filters out things that aren't important, so that we have more space for things that are important. And that's good. It just means that sometimes we really mess up the whole memory issue. Um, yeah, and that, I guess that's why, like, for example, with court cases and whatever, you have to be careful about that. Because there are some things that people can get wrong, and that's why physical evidence is important, because it can corroborate what someone's saying instead of just relying on memory. Yeah, it's all very complex. I was just watching, it came up in my Facebook memories. Jim Carrey was at Fashion Week or something. I don't know. I don't recognize the name of the event, but this reporter was trying to ask him questions, and he was just going like, none of this is real, and I wanted to come to the most meaningless event, and here I am. But the whole none of this is real, and I'm like, yep, that's kind of how I'm feeling. Especially like, I have no idea. I have no way to know if even I'm real. I seem to be experiencing things, so I just have to run with it because I have nothing else to go on. But yeah, and nothing, things don't really feel real to me anymore. Another thing that was kind of interesting is like, like, I don't feel like I care about anything, but then when I look at some of my behaviors, it seems like I care about stuff, and that is a weird kind of feeling. Derealization. Yeah, well, see, when I read about things like derealization, oh my god, there's this tiny little fly on my screen and it is annoying. Go away, thingy. Ugh. Anyway, so when I read about things like derealization, depersonalization, right? The way it's described is always, well, it seems more extreme than what I experience. So I can't say for sure if that's what I'm experiencing, but it could be. Like, you know, people talk about walking in a fog or having some kind of out of body watching themselves experience. I don't think I really get that. Like, I get brain fog when I'm depressed, and it's like this sort of weird heaviness, and it's hard to do things and hard to think about things properly. But that sort of fog to do with the world, don't think so. Like, I think people are talking about something different. This is a problem with languages. There's only so much we can transmit with it to explain what we're going through. But yeah, no, so I just there was like a couple days walking with Hope around the neighborhood, where I sort of was just like had this very strange feeling, like, you know, nothing's real. I don't know how to explain it, because it wasn't like any of those things. So I haven't really read an explanation that sounds like what I've actually experienced. The rest of the time, it's just this weird, maybe it's an introspective thing, and it just, like, stuff just doesn't feel real. Maybe it's tied into the anhedonia. Yeah, I don't know. Like, so I think I'm experiencing something like derealization, but perhaps not in the way that other people do, and certainly not as intensely. Um, yeah, and with the depersonalization, if I feel like I'm watching myself, it's more like, I'm inside myself watching myself doing things. Like, I don't feel like I'm watching someone who's outside myself, and I don't feel like I'm outside watching, you know, I can see I'm inside myself, and I'm just sort of like, hey, I'm doing these things, or like I'm talking to you guys now, and I'm sort of observing myself doing the things and just feeling a bit disconnected from it in some way. I don't know if that makes sense. Um, there's definitely something going on with my brain, and yeah, maybe I do need some kind of medication, if only they would not give me side effects. Um, but yeah, now's not the time to go around messing with that. Alan Watts would surely chastise you for this line of thought. I'm not sure who Alan Watts is. There is like another guy who I don't like, though, that name seems to remind me of, but I can't place it. And talking at an angle is starting to make me feel a bit. Shall we just adjust, and I'll turn the other way. Hang on, guys. Sorry if it makes a horrible noise. Is it? Where's that pillow? Hunting. Oh yeah. Okay. Oops, and let me just bring it this way. All right. What are you guys saying? Post streams anyway. No, well, like, you know, it's not like we're doing anything else. You could just give us a summary right here if you wanted. Yeah, oh, and I've just realized one of the flaws to my plan is my drink bottle is right behind my phone, actually propping it up. So if you guys will just give me another. Sorry, I have to hold it. Yeah, no, talking at an angle. Let me get that right. Okay, talking at an angle is not comfortable at all, I've decided. No wonder I usually sit up when I'm talking. But hey, I was just gonna like sit around and not do anything today, wasn't I? Oh, and now my hand is on the wrong side. How's it going, Mike? Below? But I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce things. I'll just say Mike. Hello. Yeah, having a sort of a lazy day with the house to myself, and I'm just gonna take off me Ugg boots because they're getting a bit warm. Yeah, stuff and things. So I'm just rambling about whatever, mostly prompted by you guys. So if you want to chuck something at me, hey, I'm here. It's after 10 p.m. at time zone. Yeah, no, what time is it here? I think it was like 1 o'clock, or hang on, can I see on my phone? 1:20 it is here, and this is very reminiscent of a patient on the therapist couch. I've actually never been in a therapy session where they got me to lie down. And they didn't even have the sort of couch where you can lie down in just like little chairs. Although my current therapist does have 3:20 a.m. Why are you still awake? Go to bed. It's too early in the morning. Oh my god. But yeah, no, my current therapist does have one that you could potentially lie down. 7:20. I think you mean PM as a, like, you know, as the time, as opposed to 720p the screen resolution. um. So yeah, my current therapist has a bigger couch, but also like a couple chairs, and yeah. I'm not seeing her this week because she's away doing something, or doing some kind of talks. I don't know. Yeah, so I'm just chilling. I got nothing in particular to do. And no inspiration to do anything. So, yeah, that's why I'm here, for anyone who's just sort of turned up and we are rambling about random things. Night shift secure. Oh, okay. Yeah, fair enough. I'm I'm certainly not a morning person, but I wouldn't call myself a night owl, really. I would call myself an afternoon pigeon, which is a meme I saw on Facebook that's stuck in my brain. Afternoon pigeon. Not much good for anything at any time. Oh dear, oh dear. Oh well. Uh, it's not very glamorous, but whatever. At least when Hello Scream's on, I'll have something to do. But then after that, I don't know. I don't know what to do with my life. You know, I definitely feel like my life is kind of stagnant, and I need to find something a bit more meaningful to propel me forward and not feel like I'm just floating so much. But I don't know where to direct that energy, and nothing's really inspiring. So yeah, I don't know. I think I saw something on the corner of my eye. Do you have a preferred maze to be put in for Halloween Scream this year, if you don't mind me asking? I'm not going to talk anything. I know which maze I'm in, and so I can't really answer the question without, you know, saying too much. But you know, rehearsals haven't started yet, because you know we don't open until next week is when Sydney opens up. Yeah, so I just like, I haven't really heard much from them about what I can and can't talk about, so I'm just not going to talk about much at all. Um, yeah, but if you remember, a couple years ago, I was in the York Eye Maze, which I think they only ran that year. That worked nicely for me, and I was a swing actor, so I got to do like a little bit of everything, which was really fun. Um, and yeah, so I was just, I mean, I'm already that sort of Japanese creepy lady. Um, Rainbow Death Ray members. So Kit, I'm still in contact with, the bass player. And so she's studying, and so she's very busy these days. But yeah, no, we still chat. Nay, who was on guitar, I'm not entirely sure what she's up to. I think she might be like teaching music somewhere. And she's been, I like, last I heard she was trying to start her own sort of band, but I don't really know. She doesn't seem to post that often, and yeah, I haven't heard from her in ages. And then our guitarist, uh, she was overseas for a while, but I think she came back. I think she lives in Melbourne though, or maybe not, in Sydney somewhere. And yeah, I think she had a kid, and yeah, I don't really keep up with everyone very well. I sort of lost touch with everything, like the whole music scene as well. I sort of lost touch with when I got really badly depressed, and I haven't really reconnected. Like I was starting to do more, um, like trying to go to gigs, and like I was going to join a band that I went to see, but then the pandemic happened, and that's yeah put a big dent in me getting back into music. So it's a little bit unfortunate, but I don't know. I just can't really feel enough for music at the moment to get back into it. So I still kind of want to release the rest of the Rainbow Death Ray demos, but I would have to actually finish recording them. And yeah, just haven't got around to it. And the thing about recording as well is like even if I call it a demo, I still want to be this sort of perfectionist, and that kind of puts me off because it's so much work to get to something to like that high enough level. So yeah, I'm not really sure how I'm going to approach that. It's sort of on the back of my mind, and I do still have like old recordings in case I forget anything. Um, another band. Another band. Yeah, I've tried to find another band, but it's really difficult. Like Sydney doesn't seem to have the kinds of bands that I'm interested in, unfortunately. Um, a lot of like, and then most of the offers I get, it's either pop punk, which is not at all what I want to do, and then people saying, "Oh, we don't need growls," and I'm like, I didn't learn to growl for nothing. Like, it's kind of important to me to do that. Um, and I've even said on all my ads, like, I growl, this is a thing I do, and then they're like, we don't need that, and I'm like, then why did you contact me? It's not the thing that I want to do. Um, on the other extreme, it seems like most of them tend to be like prog, black, death metal, whatever, which is the opposite extreme that I'm also not so into. So it's hard to find that balance. I probably want to do more something like, a bit new metal or metalcore, post 90s metal styles. Um, I'm not really good with the really old stuff. And something with singing and screaming. But also, even with singing, like my voice is different to other chicks. I think because I started off with more of a classical background but didn't get a full classical training, so I'm in this weird middle ground with my own kind of style, and no one really understands what to do with that. And so I guess that's why I keep having to write my own music, but I'm not motivated enough to write my own music anymore. So yeah, there's a lot. It's tricky, and like there's some bands that I wanted to join, and I've hit them up, and they're like, "Oh no, we don't want a female." One of them went on to get like a male-female combo vocal, which was annoying because I never even got to audition for that after because they said we don't want a girl at all. Um, Another one seems to be sticking to their guns that they just don't want a girl. And like I get it, there's artistic issues, male and female voices have different qualities, but it does get kind of frustrating if they go back on that um, without telling you and giving you a chance. And then, one of the bands, it seems like they just want their old singer back because I guarantee you they've had other people put their hands up who are guys and they just don't bring on a singer. I think they did once, but it didn't work out. Um, and it's like, if you've had this much trouble finding someone, maybe you need to loosen up your ideas about what you want. Now, you could make the same argument about me. Maybe, like, I've spent so much time looking for a band, maybe I should just take something that isn't quite quite what I want. But I have done that and it did not work out well. Um, I made the compromise because I thought, maybe I should just be a little bit less picky. But then they went and changed to a style that was even less what I wanted, and I found out stuff about how the band worked that made it just not something I was going to stick to. So I think I need to trust myself a little bit more on that kind of stuff. But yeah, some of the bands I feel like they're just so determined to what they had previously, and people are different. You can find two guitar players who have very similar techniques, but with voice, like physically, we're all a little bit different, so it's very hard to get the exact same tone. And I think I missed some messages. Let me go back up. Perhaps a change of direction is, or maybe Jen doesn't learn a skill such as helicopter pilot. Have you noticed the glasses? No one's going to take me for anything that involves good eyesight. Military, please. And I'm not going to get into the military because I'm too small and unfit. When I was in high school, I had this delusion that I wanted to join the army, and then I looked at like what test you have to pass to actually get in, and there is no way. Logistics, no thank you. I'm not into that. I love the growl vocals. I don't know why people don't like them. Well, like, you know, music is subjective, right? And so we all have different things that we're into. And some people prefer their music to be more calm. And then some of us prefer things to be a bit crazier. So, you know, it's just how it is, isn't it? Still waiting for that Taylor Swift cover. Yeah, look, so I've got a list of videos to make, but there's no guarantee on when I'm going to make them. So it could be years before I do a Taylor Swift cover, but it's on the list. And yeah, no, I was trying to see if you guys remember Raw Riffs, if he would want to do a collab on that, and he sort of seemed into it, but I think he's just been heaps busy. Like we were gonna do another cover as well, but yeah, his business has sort of um gotten busier. So yeah, that hasn't really happened. And I guess that was we were gonna do a kind of a complicated song, so yeah. Don't blame him. And like, you know, for someone to be able to write all those musical parts and record them and all that, like I can't do that, and I know it takes a lot of work. And so, you know, that's kind of amazing to me that someone can sit down and do all that. So yeah, I don't blame him for not wanting to do that. So with the Taylor Swift, I was like, you know, probably want to change it up a bit, but yeah, it's a bit of effort to actually get it done. Plus, I'm just not feeling music at the moment. Perhaps at some point I will start feeling like doing the music again, but just not right now, so I can't really do the cover. I haven't even done my regular singing. Rainbow Death Ray. Oh, you like that? Yeah, thank you. That took a lot of work, and I burnt out shortly after, unfortunately. Um, yeah. No, because like all those songs were written by me on the Rainbow Death Ray EP, and then I went to everyone, like I got everyone and recorded all their parts, um, and then did the edit, and then we sent it off to mixing and mastering at the Brain where I interned for a bit, and yeah, so that finished that off. But like you know, I did most of the work on that, and I was also doing our crowdfunding, and I was also organizing our gigs, and I was also working the closest thing I've ever had to a full-time job during the day. And I just was doing so much. And then my grandma died actually around this time of year, like maybe yesterday would have been the how many years anniversary, 5 or 6 years. What year is it? 2021. So I mean about 6 years ago then. Um, yeah, so when she died, like I just had nothing left in the reserve, and that was a big trigger for my last depression that went on for ages because I was just so worn out. And you know, also that was my first EP, and like it was an achievement, but I didn't really feel the benefit of the achievement, if that makes sense. Like there was all this build up, and then it's like it's done, yay, and then I'm just like, great, now what? So I didn't really, like, you know, people celebrate and all that, and they feel good when they get something done, but I didn't really get that payoff. And so there's something wrong with my brain there. I just was like, and yeah. So maybe that is part of why I'm unmotivated, because I put so much work in and just didn't get enough of a that feeling to make it feel like it was really worth all that. For years I thought you were super tall only to find out you. um, with height, um, like on screen, like for example, Tom Cruise is really small, but if he's around other people around the same size, you wouldn't really know, right? Like on screen, it can be hard to tell how tall someone is. What are you doing? Yeah, huh? Lost? Okay. No, I'm just sort of like chilling out because I'm home alone for a bit. Although, how much time do I have? Probably, you know, it could be in the next half hour we run out of time. Also, how much battery do I have? I don't actually know. Oh wow, this phone's actually doing pretty well. It's only 84%. We've been going for 45 minutes. So yeah, well done, phone. I think the old phone would have been struggling a bit. Um, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know, my brain is messed up, and Sydney City represent. Yeah. Um, coming out of lockdown, at least partially, on Monday, and then I don't know, like, I don't know what to do with myself. Because I never really went out before. And now my favorite restaurant closed very early in the pandemic. That was last year. It closed, like it changed hands and they rebranded and then they just closed completely, which is really sad because I really love that food. They have them in Japan and it's sort of like a chain, and so maybe they'll come back one day. But yeah, it closed and so now I can't go back. Enjoy your day. Oh, good on you. Yeah, exercise is important. I could probably do some more. I did go on 2 walks the other day and I ran for part of it, and I've been paying for it ever since. I got this pain in like both my sort of ankle areas. Um, yeah, like this sort of mild pain when I'm walking. I'm just like, damn. And I didn't even run that far, I don't think. It's just like I went out the second time in the afternoon and it was kind of cold, and so I ran a bit to warm up. Um, Closed so many restaurants. Yeah, well, I think that place probably employed like people from Japan, and when they left to go back to Japan, they haven't been able to come back. So it's unfortunate, but there'll be other places. I think now we might have like a bit of a worker shortage for a lot of those hospitality places because people have found work elsewhere, or and then a lot of people who are employed in those areas were from overseas, and so now, uh, yeah, there's a lot of competition for workers, but at the same time, there's not really a proportional increase in wages to attract those people. Can you speak Japanese? Not much, only a little bit. Um, yeah, so my mom's Japanese, uh, but I was born here. And I have these weird memories, like maybe I did understand some Japanese when I was very young, but not really. And then the thing is, so my youngest brother has disabilities, intellectual and physical, but it's mainly the intellectual that's relevant here. And I think like when all that went down, the medical advice was to just have one language because that would be easier for him to understand. We do pepper in some Japanese words here and there, but yeah, no, it's mostly English. And I've tried learning Japanese here and there, but I don't really have enough practice. And mum, with her Japanese, like, for one thing, she speaks too quickly for me to really pick up enough. And then she also speaks in more casual language when sometimes a lot of those things try and teach you a more polite language first. Um, and then also, I've heard from some of my Japanese relatives that her Japanese is a bit odd. And then it's always been odd, but is perhaps a bit more odd now that she's spent more time in Australia than she did ever spend in Japan. Hello from New York City? Yeah. Hello, everyone. Well, yeah, I haven't been to New York. I've been to LA though and Las Vegas. That was a long time ago. I did that instead of schoolies. Like when you finish your final exams. Worst spelling ever. Oh, eh? I don't know what you're trying to say there. Japanese is actually the fastest language. Spanish is the second fastest. Well, in terms of syllables, yeah. Because Japanese has so many syllables. But I wonder like how much meaning, per time can you convey? Um, yeah. Yeah, no, that the speed of the Japanese doesn't help me with the learning. And then, I only visit every few years, so there's not a lot of incentive for me to really learn Japanese properly. And I've probably forgotten a fair bit. Like I did start learning more again for my trip in at the end of 2017, start of 2018. And I think I've forgotten most of that, to be honest. The main practice I get with Japanese these days is on Instagram. Um, I originally got Instagram because my Japanese relatives don't use Facebook, which is odd because they're owned by the same people. So I don't know what the issue is. But yeah, so I got it for that reason. And so on most of my posts, I'll try and translate what I'm writing in English into at least an approximation in Japanese. And I use a bit of Google Translate to help, but I rearrange things so that when I read the Japanese, it makes some kind of sense to me. Like I don't take Google Translate's exact recommendation because sometimes they put in words or like a word order that I don't understand or different things that I don't know. So I do try and reword it to something that makes sense to me. And so the meaning is slightly different to what I've written in English, perhaps. And yeah, that's the main practice I get in Japanese. but I am using Google Translate as a crutch. So yeah, tricky. Oh, that's what you're trying to say. Arigato gozaimasu. Yeah. So you're saying thank you in a very polite way. Yeah, no, like I can say some stuff in Japanese, but yeah, I just don't have much need for it. So yeah, just speak English. Um, I mean, I stay home most of the time. I don't really need Japanese. I do plan to go back to Japan in 2024 because I've got some family business to deal with. Um, but that's a way off. And I do suspect that mum will want to go business class this time, and I think I'll probably go business class as well, which means I need to save up a lot more money. Um, because the last time I went, so like I used to go with my mum a bit, and there was one time like we usually went economy, but there was one time like on the way home there was some really cheap upgrade to premium economy, so we took it, and I have not been able to fly lower than premium economy since. So it's already ruined me, and my fear is that if I do business class, then I will never be able to do premium economy again. I'll always have to be business class, which is like twice as expensive. And I mean, it's a good thing I don't travel much because that means I can actually save up for these hideously expensive tickets. But yeah, even last time, the whole premium economy thing, on the way to Japan, I was sitting next to this drunk dude, and it was just like, on the way back was not so bad. But you know, a 9 hour journey in that tight space, like premium economy, you do get more foot space and you get food earlier and all that kind of stuff. And there were only 2 rows of us, and then when you have to go to the bathroom, you have to go back through economy. And so everyone can see that you've come from the fancy zone. Oh, not that that matters that much, but yeah, you get slightly bigger seats and all that. And also, because I was flying ANA, I got the window seat over the wings. So when the plane lands, you can see the flaps go, and it's kind of fun. I watch a lot of air crash investigations, so I got a bit nerdy about some of that stuff for a bit, like when the plane lands and it has to brake. The little are they air? My terminology is out the window because I haven't watched Air Crash Investigation really for. I watched one episode in the last year, I guess. But yeah, so premium economy is more comfortable than economy, but only by a little bit because you're still in these small seats. And I mean, I guess the main thing for me is the plane, the noise. Even when you're wearing noise canceling headphones, it's still kind of horrible. Um, but I've never been business class, so we could try it and maybe ruin air travel for me forever, or at least, you know, affordable air travel. But hey, I don't go very often, so maybe I should. And also, that time I actually took a lot of extra money because I wanted to go shopping for clothes because I thought I had a music project to come back to, which turned out that was AD Destroyer. So, you know, we were working on that for a long time. I finished recording that in 2017. So at the end of 2017, I was trying to find clothes that I could go on stage in it, and of course, it just never happened. We didn't even release that until last year, which is just disappointing. And it's disappointing nothing has happened since. But yeah, now with the Punk Rave Australia thing, I have way too many clothes. Like, I have to figure out how to store everything. And the other thing is, because of the pandemic, I've had hardly any opportunity to wear any of it anywhere. Um, but yeah, so now I have too many clothes, and like one of the things I would do in Japan is buy clothes because they have more goth shops than we do in Sydney, and it's all my size, whereas Sydney's not always like, you know, I'm kind of on the small end. In Japan, I'm kind of on the large end. Um, and yeah, they've got more of my style, whereas some of the more Western fashion is not quite right. Um, but this time I have too many clothes, so when I go back to Japan, I'm not going to be worrying too much. I'll probably still go to Harajuku and have a look at a few things, but it's not going to be a priority. So I don't need as much shopping money, so I can afford a business class ticket, right? Like, what else am I going to spend my money on? Therapy sessions, that's all I spend my money on. Therapy sessions and Hope Specialist, which he doesn't have to see until next year now, like he's doing well enough, so you know, and I'm living with my parents and there's no hope for my life, so I might as well use my money for at least something like that. Save up for that. You know, I need a goal to save up for. I'm hoping to learn Japanese and visit Japan someday. Yeah. I mean, you don't need to learn Japanese to go to Japan, because especially in tourist zones, there's a lot of English signage, like even the signs are in English. Um, there were a few places I went to that didn't have that. But in that case, you can use Google Translate to like scan the signs with that little, they have that augmented reality kind of thing. And that's what I did if I couldn't read something. And one advice I would be, well, it depends on when you go because things might change, but like you couldn't get a phone SIM card in Japan, and roaming is expensive. So the best way, like you can get a data only SIM card, but if you still want to make phone calls, that's annoying. So I kept my own SIM card. What I did is I got one of those little wireless boxes, and so I carried that around everywhere so that I could have like my own little Wi-Fi hotspot. And it was a lot cheaper than when I tried roaming, and the roaming didn't even work very well when I did that in 2016. And yeah, this little Wi-Fi box was so good so that I could use the translate wherever I needed to go. I could also use Google Maps. The only time Google Maps confused me is when I accidentally caught an express train and I had to upgrade my ticket, and it didn't really tell me that that was a thing. So that was a little bit confusing, but I figured it out in the end. Um, Otherwise, yeah, it was really good at helping me work out like what the fee would be. Also, getting a Suica card was really good. Um, I actually wrote a guide about, shopping and going around Japan, Tokyo mainly. Um, but it's probably out of date, especially with the pandemic. I don't know how many things will still be open. And then Japan has usually been very cash based, but perhaps the pandemic might have finally forced them to do more with cards. I don't know. But yeah, no, having that wireless box made it really easy to get around Japan. And then there are a lot of people who do have at least basic English who can help you out. And then there's a lot of people who speak really good English who can help you out. Um, Therapy sessions free in Australia, free in Canada. So in Australia, with the way therapy works, I go to my GP, I get this like mental health referral plan, whatever thingy, and then I can see the psychologist. And the psychologist, like, there's Medicare pays a certain amount, but the rest of the fee I have to pay myself. Um, and so with the current therapist, so with the current psychologist, she was like, I mean, I didn't ring many people before I found her, but she was like the first one who said she would see me while lockdown is still going on. Because originally I was referred to a psychiatrist, but they're not open, even though you can be open for medical reasons. And I can't do therapy over telehealth, because I don't know when I'm going to have a day like this with the house to myself to be able to do it. And also, there's like other things about it that are annoying. So yeah, that's why I went for the psychologist. But anyway, so this psychologist, she is a bit more expensive than some of the others I've been to, and so Medicare only covers, well, doesn't even quite cover half, like just under half of the fee. Although I have now hit that, like, there's a Medicare safety net or something. So once you've spent a certain amount on your medical bills, the government pays more, or like a higher percentage. So I still have to pay a fair bit, but it's a little bit less than what I've been paying so far. I don't know exactly the amount, but yeah, so they don't cover everything. Um, I think if you go for like more public services, you can, but for my situation and I guess my location and all that kind of stuff, I don't know that that's available to me. And also, I don't mind because I do have some savings already from, pandemic support, and also just living with my parents, not going out, not doing anything, not really buying anything. So, it's not that bad for me. Um, but yeah, it's not perfect. Um, and yeah, then I'm gonna have to get a review as well. You get 6 sessions covered by Medicare, and then you have to go back to your GP with a letter from your psychologist, and then they say, yep, okay, you get 4 more sessions. And usually that's it, like 10 for the year, which is nowhere near enough to handle my issues. Um, but then I think because of the pandemic, I think you can get an extra 10 sessions. And this is within a calendar year. So I'm trying to use up all that before the end of the year, if I can get it. Because then next year I get a refresh. But also, I'm kind of impatient to just get my issues dealt with. Although at the same time, I have no idea if we're going to be able to work it out. So it's possible that I'm spending money to basically not get any further than I would anyway. But on the other hand, I can't exactly just do nothing. I have to try. And it's less of an interruption to my life than trying medication would be. So Yeah, because medication threw me off so much that I couldn't work anymore, and I can't go back to that. I need to be able to keep functioning. Um, yeah, so yeah, like we do have Medicare in Australia, like the public health system, but we also have a private system, and then there's this weird overlap, I guess, between them. Um, yeah, and the problem with the public system is sometimes, depending on what it is, there can be waiting periods. So, you know, and then also like with the psychiatrists who I didn't get to see, I think they're a private thing as well. And so the Medicare, you don't have to get the same bunch of referrals going back and forth with the GP. You just get one referral, and I think it lasts for like a year. But there is still a gap, and I don't know exactly how much money Medicare covers. I don't remember because that was a while ago that I did the psychiatry. Um, but yeah, there is a gap, and so yeah, I think you would have to be like in a hospital or something to get it all bulk billed or whatever, and that means waiting periods and stuff. Have another drink. All right, and it looks like if YouTube is being accurate, everyone has disappeared, so I can just sit for a bit. Ah. Oh, it's been an hour anyway. Just. Oh. Yay! If anyone is there though, send me a chat just so that I know. But I think everyone's gone, and so I can just relax for a bit. I guess the specifics of our Medicare system is not that exciting. But also, people have things to do in their day, and some of you were up way too late as well. Oh, you're still there! It's telling me that no one's watching, but you're about to leave. Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Do whatever you need to do. I'm just gonna keep lying here for a bit longer. I still don't have any inspiration to do anything with myself. For what time I have left. Oh, you are still here! Well, it's telling me no one's here. They're lying, obviously. What time is it? Oh, it's almost 2 o'clock. I might have to go soon anyway. Because I think Mum said they'd be back, well, sometime after 2. So I don't know if that means like exactly 2 or just chill. Yeah. Alright, we can just sit for a bit. See if I think of anything else to ramble about. I don't know. There's been a bunch of political stuff going on in New South Wales lately, but I'm not sure that I really want to get into that. And I'm not 100% sure what I think either. Though I suppose if I rambled, maybe that would be like thinking through it and trying to figure out what my opinion is. But also, like, even if I have an opinion, what does it matter? Because I can't really affect anything. I didn't check the battery situation. 78%. Oh, not bad. Gotta go see you later. Yeah, see ya. Um, No, I suppose I shouldn't just sit around. Like, if I'm just gonna sit around, maybe I should stop streaming. But what am I gonna do next? I suppose I could make some tea. Um, could play Neopets. Did I check my Neopets last night? I don't know if I did. Just like the daily things that you can do. Um, I don't think I watched any YouTube yesterday. I am trying to watch a bit less YouTube lately, and I'm also trying to be on Facebook less because it's just there's not a lot on there. Um, and I think I want to be more productive. Hang on, I'm just gonna sit up for a bit because it is a bit. Let me move things around. Sorry again. Oh, backlit like crazy. That's not a good picture, is it? Or if we did more like, there's one of my artworks that I did a long, long time ago. No, it's still no good, is it? Because of the window, it's too bad I can't like, somehow. Oh well, we'll just have to deal with it looking kind of horrible and backlit. What was I talking about? I don't even remember. Oh, I think I feel like I want to be more productive, but I don't know what to do. I don't have any inspiration to be productive. So, yeah. And it's kind of parallels like the idea of wanting to do art and wanting to be creative, but not having any ideas for a project that I actually want to do. So yeah, like I'm trying to cut down on things like YouTube, Neopets, Facebook. But I have no ideas for what to do with the reclaimed time, you know? Like, I mean, I have ideas, but none that I actually want to do, none that I feel inspired or compelled to do. So, yeah, what's the point of cutting back on social media and so on if I don't make use of that extra time? Like, sometimes I am just sitting here, like I am today with you guys, just sitting around not doing much of anything. Is that any better than being on Facebook just scrolling mindlessly? I don't really know. Yeah, it sucks not being motivated and not being inspired and not having any life direction or purpose and not being able to find it as much as I might want to. Um, I mean, like live streaming is helping me not be on Facebook. That's a thing, but what I don't know. Well, what am I doing with my life? What am I doing with my time? What do I want to do with my life and my time? And then also, like, people from the outside looking in seem to think that I've got, like, all this stuff going on and all these achievements and so on, but it's. I don't know, it doesn't feel that way to me. Which I know, like, is probably a little bit odd. Because, like, I have done a fair bit, but I'm just right now. And for the past few years, I've kind of felt like I'm not really going anywhere and not inspired to do anything. I don't know, like something that is kind of weirding me out is the dissonance between my inner experience and my external experience, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense. Like things I do and the way other people perceive my life don't seem to match up with what I feel on the inside. And then also what I feel on the inside is sort of hindering me from getting a move on with my life, I guess. I don't know. I'm confusing myself a lot because it's a confusing thing to think about. Uh, there's just some weird dissonance in my mind and I guess disconnection. And I don't know how to fix that. Yeah, I think earlier in the stream I mentioned like there's some things that I do or maybe write on Facebook or so on that make it seem like I care about things. But my internal experience, I don't know if I actually do. So then, if I don't care, where is that behavior coming from? Like, there must be something. Maybe I care and I'm just disconnected from it. Maybe it's just some weird automatic response that I don't have control over, or I don't know, like maybe I'm just overthinking the whole thing. And then I wonder, like, what is other people's experience? Like, do people just do whatever they do and then roll with it as a sign of what they actually think? Um, like, do we all just do things automatically, and maybe my problem is I'm thinking too much about it and not just rolling with it? I don't know if that makes sense. Um, what do I mean? I don't know, like, it makes me think, like, maybe it's the whole cognitive dissonance thing. Um, no, what is a concept? Like, free will is kind of an illusion. And there's studies where I don't understand it. I don't think I've read it enough, and I probably don't understand the concepts behind it. But apparently, they've been able to measure brain waves and so on that show that at least in some cases, you do an action before you consciously think of it, like think of doing it, and so your mind is catching up to what your body has done, and to make sense of that, your brain thinks, oh, I actually intended to do it, it wasn't an automatic action. And so because of the action that you did first, your brain is justifying why it did that and saying, like, that is me. And maybe, like, if that's a real thing and if I've interpreted it all right, maybe what's happening with me is, like, my body is doing the actions, but my brain isn't owning the actions that it sees me doing, if that makes sense. I don't know if it makes sense. Um, oh, I don't know. Like, maybe I'm just getting into this weird philosophical nonsense. Um, I'm just trying to figure out why I have this issue, because it's clear that I do things and I must care about some things, but for some reason I'm not connected to it. And that's one thing that I'm like that I've thought about. Could it just be that my brain refuses to own the actions that I do for some reason? Like, your brain creating the sense of self, that sense of self isn't connecting in the right way to what I do. But it does come from a bit of a, is it deterministic perspective of what we do, or I don't know. And I don't really know how valid that psychology thing was. Um, it's just something I wonder, because there is that disconnect for me. Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Well, no one's come home yet. I do kind of feel like I might want some tea though. What time is it? And so it's just hit 2. Um, yeah, have some tea and just chill out for a bit. Something's popped up. Hello. What does that mean? Hello, Nathaniel. Oh, I don't know what that word is, unfortunately. Sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry about the terrible backlit background. I just can't be bothered to rearrange things to be better. Huh? Oh, Jamaican greeting. Wow. Uh-oh, dog barking. Is someone home? Or is he just... He might be reacting to something else in the street. I don't know. Well, how would I pronounce that? Wagwan? I hope I didn't butcher it. I never really know how to pronounce things. Like even in English, sometimes there's things that I pronounce probably wrong. And then sometimes I think I pronounce things American and my dad doesn't like that. Oh, okay, good. Cool. So we learned something there, guys. But yeah, I think the one that surprised me the most is I say mayor, I think. And I think Australians would say mayor. Um, and then schedule to me kind of makes more sense than schedule, but sometimes I'll switch between them. It's basically what's going on, but oh, okay, I get it. Yeah, Japanese sometimes does things like that too, like squishing words shorter. Like that's how my name got shortened as well. So now I'm just March in the family anyway. It's weird when anyone else says that. But yeah, that comes from my name, Mariko, or Japanese Mariko, and then you add the chan suffix, and then it sort of just swooshed shorter and shorter and shorter until I'm a single syllable that has nothing to do with anything. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, no, American English has sort of leaked into Australian English a little bit, but not in spelling. And then there are some things that just sound better. Like lieutenant to me makes more sense than lieutenant. And then I have to wonder, is there a right tenant? That's my brain going a little bit silly as well with words. I don't really know what the etymology is either. I've never really looked into it enough to figure that out. Yeah, no, language is, I don't know, kind of interesting. And then when people get really upset because you've like made up a new word or you're saying a word that supposedly doesn't exist, but then you can point out, well, Shakespeare used to make up words all the time and no one has a problem with that. Like the word assassin, which is a fun word, or at least he's supposed to have made up that word. I've never actually looked that deeply into it. Yeah, it's not a huge concern of mine. Yeah. Languages always evolve. Words will always be introduced or change over time. Yeah, for sure. And it's also interesting, like we've all taken to shortening things. Like, you know, vaccination became vax, and the pandemic, like, that's now everywhere because it's just easier to say, like a single syllable, and we know exactly what you're talking about. I'm going to start saying welcome to everyone now. Yeah, why not? I mean, they might not know what you're talking about though. Like, you know, the point of language is communication. So you need to understand each other. Let them be confused. Yeah, all right. I mean, like, you know, if that's your goal to mess with people, that's fair enough too. But in general language, the goal is to communicate. So as long as you're communicating fine, what does it matter really? You know, it doesn't have to be 100%. But I say this as someone who can sometimes be a bit of a grammar Nazi, so, you know, I guess it depends on what my mood is for and what my opinion is. Like that's something that makes it a little bit hard for me to make decisions, I guess, because depending on my mood, I can change what I think. And sometimes even depending on who I'm talking to, I can change what I think. Depending on, you know, I guess whether I like them and what my attitude is and whether I'm trying to annoy them or whether I'm just trying to keep the peace. There's always things like that though that also mess up my sense of self, because I do flip between all these different things. So then who am I really? Like if you took away all those influences and I guess kind of that defensive adaptation to a situation or whatever it may be, if you took away all that, like what do I really think? Do I know? Like I can think a lot of stuff in my head, but when I actually get into whatever situation I was thinking about, I often don't act like that at all. It's like sometimes I think about what I'm going to say in therapy, and then I get to therapy and I'm just nothing like that happens. It's frustrating. Like I know everyone has this to some degree. You know, you're different depending on what situation you're in, but it really kind of messes me up that it's a thing that happens. I guess because my sense of self is a big problem. I just don't know who and what I'm doing. Who I am and what I'm doing. I just confuse myself with that as well. Oh dear. I'm running out of sunlight too. It's all sort of disappearing behind me. Getting a little bit on my shoulders, but otherwise. And now I've got the hunter on because it's getting a bit cold. Today's meant to be like 30 degrees in Sydney and windy. I don't think the wind has picked up yet though, and it actually took a while to warm up. But I guess it's probably warm outside. My room is a bit cold. I've never really thought about who I am. Yeah, I guess it's not important to some other people as well. Although like a lot of youth culture is very much about trying to establish your identity and who you are. Um, I guess in some ways I feel like I got stuck in some of that teenage angst and just never really moved on and never figured anything out. Um, a bit like my sleep patterns, I'm not a morning person at all. I really struggle with mornings, which maybe I'm in more of a teenager sleep pattern. Just another human stuck on the planet, yeah. I guess it's important to me to figure out something though, because it might give me a direction for what to do with my life. Like, I'm not satisfied just floating around. I feel like I need some kind of a purpose or some kind of a reason to keep doing things. And I'm just not able to find that. And so, if I had some idea of, what I think about myself and where I want to go and who I want to be, maybe that would help. Um, but yeah, no, I'm kind of stuck and I don't really feel emotions the right way, I think. I think some of my emotions are quite blunted. Uh, so yeah, like the whole anhedonia thing. Don't know what to do about it. Because yeah, like I could just keep doing what I'm doing, just sit around, um, making the best of things, I guess. But like I'm in a really stagnant sort of place in my life. Yeah, really, the most exciting thing that's happening to me is the Hello Scream thing. But once that's over, what do I do? You I don't know exactly when I'm going back to bonsai. That'll happen, but it's only 1 day a week, and it's not something that I can do a lot of because of how tired I get. Um, and I think I don't have the right amount of passion for it either. Like, there are so many people who are so much more passionate than me. Um, And then what? I've got my finance job, which is just work from home, an hour here and there, uh, which isn't going to go anywhere for me. And I have no desire to go further into the accounting world. It's just, I think my brain would bleed out my ears if I did that. Um, so that's on the work front. On hobbies, so like I am going through this real numb phase with music. I've been working on my plants, but I kind of have to so that they don't die. Um, I guess I've got more fashion reviews coming for Punk Rave Australia, but I'm still waiting for pre-orders. I think all my pre-orders are going to be shipped at once. So yeah, I think they're still manufacturing some of them, so it'll be a little bit longer before I get those delivered. Um, it's interesting that they do pre-orders now. Like they've been making a lot of changes over the past year, so it's been interesting to watch. Um, so I do that, but yeah, like that's just a thing that happens every now and then, and it's essentially the same format every time, so there's not a lot to think about there. Um, yeah, I need to find something to do where I can wear all those clothes out. Maybe that's something. Life is a wave. There's always ups and downs. I think just don't overly think about it if you're feeling to me in the down point. No, see, I can't stop thinking about it because it's just how I am. Um, if you try not to think about something, inevitably you start thinking about it. And then if I just sit around and wait, nothing's going to change. So, like I've been sort of sitting around wondering what to do for the past few years, really. Like, it's not a pandemic thing. This has been going on almost since I recovered from depression. I've just not known what to do with my life next, and nothing has really presented itself. Like, yes, the Punk Rave Australia stuff and the Hallow Scream stuff, but these are sort of more short-term things. They're not a life direction of any sort. Like, even I got the bonsai job, but that's also not really taking me anywhere. Um, I feel like I need something more, and I feel like sitting around is not going to get there. Like, you know that saying, like, good things come to those who wait. It's not true. If you just sit around waiting all the time, nothing's going to happen. You have to put yourself out there, and you have to chase opportunities to have a chance at something happening, something good happening. Like, for example, hadn't if I hadn't gone to that bonsai exhibition and talked to my boss, like he's now my boss, I probably would have got the job because I wouldn't have bumped into him again. Um, if I hadn't sent in my audition tape for Punk Rave Australia, I wouldn't have got that opportunity. Like, I had to chase that one. If I hadn't had the courage to go and audition for Hello Scream, I never would have got that opportunity. So you actually have to do things to make life better. Um, Sometimes it's hard to predict exactly what those things are, but just waiting is not good enough. Um, so I need to think of, like, what's the next thing I can do. Like, maybe I don't know what I want to do, and maybe something will find me if I put myself in the right place. So what's the next place, like, what's the next area that I explore in order to be able to find what it might be that I end up doing with my life. um and I don't know, because there's so many things I've tried already throughout my life. Like, I start in high school, I was more of the maths and science kid, but afterwards, like, I went and did a music degree, kind of the opposite in a lot of ways. I've done an art degree. I've been in a band. There's all these things that I've tried, a lot of art stuff. Do you know the reasons why you chose to do the things you do? Is it just in order to try things? Probably, like, I'd find something new and novel and be like, oh, this is interesting. Maybe this is the thing that I want to do. And so I'd explore it and then get disappointed by it and then move on. That seems to be like a thing that I've done since I was like a kid, is I would try new hobbies, like, gymnastics. I did for a little bit early in school, and I was constantly jumping from thing to thing, and I think it frustrated my parents because they're like, are you going to stick to this one this time? And I think that is the main reason that I stuck to violin for a bit, because they were always, I knew that I was never committing to anything. So I thought, well, I'll try, but I didn't really enjoy it a huge amount. And like these days I get jaw pain from it, so yeah, I haven't played violin in a long time. I think that might have been since I had braces. So yeah, like, I think I'm sort of drawn to new and different things, but now maybe I've tried too many of them and there's not enough that's new and interesting. And I think in the past I was looking for ways to express myself because I didn't know how to do that. Like, I was very introverted, very shy earlier in life, and so I think I was looking for some of that. Um, but now I don't know what to express. Like, there's nothing pressing. I know when I come on YouTube, I can talk for ages about random stuff, but I would be fine not saying a lot of it as well. Um, I don't have that same internal pressure to express stuff that I used to. Like, it used to be a much more urgent thing for me, and so now that I don't have that um, pushing me to do things, it's a lot harder for me to keep finding things to do. And I feel like this is getting worse as I get older. Like, as I get older, I lose interest in more things. I seem to be more numb, and I just don't have that inspiration and motivation that I used to. I feel like it just keeps going away, and it's not good. It leaves me with this sort of empty feeling. And if I'm just anhedonic, I'm not enjoying anything in particular, but I'm not distressed by anything in particular, that's okay. Like, it's bearable, it's fine. But when I get that emptiness, which feels like a different thing, that can be quite distressing. Like, and today, actually, before coming onto live stream, I was starting to feel a bit crap, because I think I was like, well, I've got the house to myself. I could be doing something with it. I could be making the most of it. And I just can't think of anything. And I was starting to get a little bit upset about that. Now, I did think, well, how about I just enjoy the peace and quiet and relax? Like, that's perfectly fine as well. And so that's what I was doing. But yeah, like there's only so much of that you can do before you also get bored. So I just thought, oh, I'll just jump on and, you know, see what YouTube's up to. Maybe we can just sit around. Could do another silent sitting session or whatever. Which hasn't with this live stream has not been silent. Um, uh, yeah, like I don't know why I do things. I don't know what like I can think of things like reasons I used to do things, but they're not relevant anymore because I feel differently. I also feel disconnected from past versions of me. Um, so yeah, I don't know what to do with myself and my time. There's nothing that I feel particularly inspired to do. I have thought about like, what if I just sit down and do some art, but I don't know what art to do. And also like if I start a project, there's the pressure of, you know, I should probably finish this thing, and I think the pressure of that makes me a bit reluctant to get started. My main focus on at the moment, I don't know what my main focus is, to be honest. I mean, like, I'm doing the therapy because I want to get out of this rut that I'm in, but I don't know if it's helping. No psychotherapy or any of that psychiatry, none of it has really helped me before. In the past, what's helped me is I would find a new thing to pursue and be like, maybe this will be the thing that fixes me, or that, you know, gives me that direction, and then only to be disappointed a bit later down the track. But that's what would get me out of depression. And now I'm so cynical and jaded that, I mean, I'm not depressed now, but it's not like, you know, how do I find something to get me out of the anhedonia? I don't know. So I'm trying the psychology, and she does have a different approach to, you know, therapists I've had in the past, but we're not really, I mean, she says we've done a lot, but I don't feel like I've made any progress at this point. um yeah, I'm still sort of in the same position, at least from my perspective. um you know, like I've opened up about some difficult things, but it hasn't helped me really. So what's my main focus? Like, I don't know, like, is that my main focus, the psychology, trying to improve myself, you know, get my life back on track? I've actually got to, actually I should do some of that homework that she sent me. It's just a few things. One of them is to update my resume, which is not something a psychologist has ever asked me to do. um, but yeah, my main focus, I don't think I have a focus. I mean, I guess like I'm gearing up for Hello Scream. But I don't know exactly what I'm doing yet. So, you know, I don't know if I have to learn a script or anything. Last time I had a bit of a script to remember. I don't know if I will this time. Um, what's my main focus? Getting through each day? I don't know. See, like, I have no real focus. Like, there are times where I just sit around and stare at something, and I don't know. Uh, as for things I do, like, you know, I have a vague routine for my days. So, like, you know, I'll get up, I'll water my plants, I'll have something to eat, I'll take the dog out for a walk, and then, uh, I don't know, find something to eat for lunch at some point. Um, I think for a while there we were watching the press conferences, but now they're all over the place, especially with the new guy. Um, uh, some days I work on the plants. Some days I just stay inside and, you know, lose myself to internet hypnosis. Um, and then in the afternoons, often there'll be some invoices I have to process for my job. Uh, and then, depending on when I finish that, maybe it's dinner time. And then after that, uh, sometimes I watch something. I'm watching Heroes at the moment. Um, it's taking a while to get into it. Probably because the character that I'm most interested hasn't really shown up properly. It's Sylar, of course. I know some of you will be like, oh, there's a split personality character in Heroes, but that's not the one that I'm really interested in. You know, I don't really relate to that one at all. I think Sylar is much more interesting to me. There's a lot of reasons for that. But yeah, no, it's taking a while for me to get into it. And actually, some things that I've watched lately that I used to enjoy a lot, I'm just not getting the same kind of reaction. Like, I know I've watched things multiple times, but they are ones that I would have actually enjoyed enough to watch it like that. So yeah, I don't know. Let me just see what's going on with this. No, okay. I'm just not used to doing the live stream on the phone, so I thought I saw something that didn't look right, but no, it's fine. Main focus. I don't really have one. I think maybe finding my main focus is my main focus at this point in time. Oh dear, oh dear. It's terrible, isn't it? Yeah, I'm just really uninspired. But not in a way that makes me depressed. I just don't feel anything in particular. I can simulate excitement easily enough. And I don't know if it's entirely dishonest. Like, there must be some part of me that feels something, but I'm just not connected to it. Have you ever tried anything like limiting yourself to certain forms of entertainment media? Not on purpose, but like I don't watch Netflix really. Like, I've tried a few times, it's not for me. I don't watch a huge amount of TV apart from the news. I've cut down on YouTube lately, although, sometimes I'm just like, I'm not doing anything anyway, so what does it matter? Oh. I feel like I should probably read a bit more, but it's so hard to find something that I'm actually interested in. So I'm just gonna have another drink because I've got to awkwardly hold this again. Yeah, I don't know, like, I think in the end, the problem that I have is probably like a neurochemical thing, something in my brain. And I probably should be on medication, except for the side effects problem. And I'm not desperate enough at this point that I'd be willing to try that again because it's so hard to find. My psychiatrist, he really tried to help me find a medication I could take without that happening, but it just didn't happen. And it's nice that he actually took me seriously on what I was going through. Hey, Keith Little, haven't spoken to you in a while. Hope all is well. Been thinking you can't stay, but you enjoy the rest of your day, and your family stay safe. Yeah, thanks for dropping in. I mean, like, stepping away from entertainment media as a whole, maybe for a short period, a week or so, with limited internet usage, browsing, seeing little things you find. Well, see, like, I've kind of been doing a bit of that. Is like, I have been on Facebook less. I haven't even logged in until the afternoon on some days. Although with Hello Scream, they do have like a thing on Facebook that I've got to keep tabs on. So, like, I guess I could ask them to just send it to me directly, but yeah, no, there's like a group. So, like, I kind of have to check in on Facebook every now and then. And then there's also some people who are sending me messages, and there's a few things that I'm keeping tabs on there. But on the whole, I've spent a lot less time on Facebook, which is probably the main life waster that I've got at the moment. And so some days, like, I've spent quite a lot of time outside. There was also a day where I just sort of like, I don't know, hung around in that sort of kitchen area most of the day, not really doing a whole lot. And it didn't help, unfortunately, because I just don't have, like, if my problem, I guess what a more common problem people might have would be that you're on social media and so on so much that you're not doing other things you want to do but feel like you don't have the time for. So when you get rid of the social media, suddenly you have time for the things that you do want to do. But I don't have anything that I particularly want to do. So when I take away the social media, I kind of just sit around like, huh. And so perhaps I have gotten a few extra things done with the plants, but then I finish up what I can do for the day, and then I have to sit around and wait for them to grow. And things are growing pretty quickly at the moment because it's spring and we've had a few warm days. The next week is going to be kind of cold though, so I'm not expecting a huge amount. Although, the Chinese arms do keep going. But anyway, no, like once you've done a bunch of work, you kind of have to leave them alone for a bit. So I finish whatever I can do for that day. And then what? And then I come back in the house and I'm like, okay. I'll find my dog and maybe pat him, and after a while he'd be like, okay, that's enough, leave me alone. You know, I went for that extra walk where I did some running, and that's why my ankles are a bit sore now. Not terribly, I can still walk fine. It's just, yeah, my body's like, you don't run enough to be able to do that all of a sudden. You know, you need to ease into it. I'm like, okay. Like that's side note. When you're trying to get into exercise, is like when your body gives you those aches and pains, it interrupts. Like, you know, I if I wanted to get in a habit with running, I should do a little bit every day. But if I'm already sore, it means I have to wait a few days for my body to recover because I don't want to give myself an injury. But by taking a break, I'm not getting into the habit. So that's unfortunate. It was much easier to get into a stretching habit and like sit-ups habit than I think it will be to get into this running thing. And then also we're heading into more of summer and it's going to get too hot to yeah, I don't like being all sweaty and gross. That's another downside of exercise. Hello from Oregon. Death metal fan 666. Ooh, death metal, yeah. Like I listen to Nile sometimes. So I'm not hugely into death metal, but I like the idea of death metal. Mostly Nile though, because they have all the ancient Egypt imagery. I think that's what got me into it. And then I've been to some of their concerts, and brie. I don't think I can do a good brie. I feel like maybe that works better with fry scream because fry scream works a lot with mouth shapes. Although I guess I've done a bit more with false chord mouth shapes. I haven't warmed up though. You know, with the I don't know. I feel like you're supposed to get more of that squealy resonance. I'm not getting it. At least if you're trying to do the pig squeal kind of thing. I wonder if that's more of a fry scream, and I'm terrible at fry scream. And I haven't even practiced fry scream in a while. I just sort of wake up in the morning, I'm like, ah, ah. And I think my vocal cords might be too small to do a good fry scream as well, so alas. And yeah, I haven't been practicing my vocals lately just because I am so empty and it's hard to get into the. I haven't even listened to much music. There is a band though that they released a new track. They're called Stellaris, and the new track was like Mountain Soul or Mountain Spirit or something, which I had one listen to yesterday, but I was a bit distracted, so I'll listen to that again and see if I want to buy it. I bought one of their tracks. I think it's called Dust of the Future, and Stellaris. They're kind of interesting. No, Stellaris has a female vocalist, and what caught my attention is that it sounds closer to my style than most of the other female vocalists who do the singing screaming combo. And yeah, I actually liked the composition of the song as well. Like, I know everyone's into ginger these days, but apart from Pisces, which has that more of that pop structure, most of their stuff is prog, and I'm not into prog. It's too all over the place for me. I grew up in the 90s on pop music. I need Dying Wish. I don't know what that is. But yeah, I think they went viral with Pisces, but I'm not. Killswitch Engage. Yeah, I actually don't listen a huge amount to them, but I had to learn that Killswitch Engage song, This Fire Burns. I had to learn it for uni, and yeah, sort of got into it that way. But I haven't listened to a huge amount of their other stuff, and I know they've also got two vocalists. Sorry, I know they've got two different vocalists they've had over the years. But yeah, I haven't listened to a huge amount of their stuff. Check them out, Dying Wish. Oh, I'm probably gonna forget, to be honest. And then like right now I think is a bad time for me to be listening to music, because if I listen to it with no ability to feel anything, I'll probably just be like, eh. Which like is a thing also, before I really got into metal, sometimes I'd listen to a metal track and be like, eh. But once I found the metal that I like and started getting into the genre more, I was able to listen to stuff that I'd previously dismissed and actually enjoy it. So I think right now, if I listen to music, I'm probably not going to enjoy it. But if you wait until I have some feeling back again, if I can find it, then I might be able to enjoy whatever music it is. So yeah. Um, I will say another thing that sort of stopped me with music, just in general in my life, is like I was trying to buy CDs all the time, but of course now everything is online. It's like some bands don't even release CDs anymore. If a band is on Bandcamp, I'm more likely to be interested because I don't like Spotify. Um, there's just, I mean, for one thing, I don't like the way the company treats musicians, but also using the platform, there's too much stuff. Sometimes the quality I notice is crap because I'm used to the CD version, and then I hear the Spotify version and I'm just like, oh, I didn't think I would be able to hear the difference, but I can. um, but also, like, I put on a play, like one of their playlists, to try and discover some new music, and there's just too much. I think the way that I get into music is I'll buy a CD, like I'll find a song I like, and then I'll find the artist, and then I'll find the CD that the song is on, and then I'll listen to the CD, and then I'll learn the CD, and then my brain is like, yeah, I enjoy this. Whereas if I hear a song once, amongst a sea of other songs that I don't know, there's never a point where I can be like, yeah, I really know what this song is. Like, I feel like my brain needs to have some recognition of the song to really get into it. There are elements that I like that'll put me onto a song and be like, I want to learn this song more. But if I just hear it as a one-off and then it disappears and I don't even remember what that song was to be able to go back to it, Spotify just doesn't work for the way that my brain enjoys music, I think. Um, and then there's so much stuff on there, I don't even know where to start. Uh, the curse of having too much choice. It's a bit like the rest of my life as well, because I'm that math science kid who ended up doing creative stuff, and so I can do a little bit of everything. And now I've got too much choice. I don't know what to focus on. Maybe if I was only good at one thing, that would help me figure out, okay, this is the thing that I'm going to do. It's the one thing I'm good at. I will pursue that because I can actually go somewhere in it. But what's Hope doing? He's making noise. Sorry. Yeah, no, because I'm a little bit good at a lot of things. It's hard to pick just one to become an expert on, I guess. And then my brain also seems to get bored easily. So anytime I have tried to focus on one thing, I usually lose interest before I can become an expert of any kind. Um, so that's frustrating. It's like I was good at maths and science in school, right? But in year 11, I did drama, even though I was terrible at it. Like, I was so shy at the time. Hopefully I'm better now. I mean, I've passed auditions now, but back then, like, even just to open my mouth in front of people was so difficult. But I tried it anyway because it was like, I think I wanted to do it, but also it turned out to be really interesting. Like, because I didn't know anything about drama, and I did a little bit in year 9. We did drama and film, but in year 11 drama, they actually taught us about some of the methods behind acting, and I found that really interesting because I didn't even know that that was a thing. So because it was different, I think I was interested. Whereas I was really good at maths. I did 4-unit maths, which at the time was the highest. I don't know what I think it's probably still the highest level of maths you can do in high school, um, around here. But I didn't enjoy it. Being good at it wasn't enough for me. Sounds like me. I'll say my main focus is vocals, guitar. I'm really good at art too, but I kind of just let that talent go to waste, unfortunately. I used to want to pursue it. Yeah. Um, but so what are you doing instead of music? That, like, what are you doing that's taking up your time so that you can't pursue it? I mean, I guess being a musician is kind of an expensive way to live, and it's difficult to make money off it unless you're like a wedding band, which is certainly not what I'm interested in. Um, but yeah, like, musically, my focus would be my vocals these days. Even though I haven't practiced it lately, if I had a musical focus, it would be working on my vocals. Um, I've sort of pretty much given up violin. I can still play it, but yeah, particularly with the jaw thing, it's just not pleasant for me. And then, like, writing music, you know, I've got my solo EP out there. Um, I I just it's hard for me to write music. It doesn't come to me naturally. And I think some of the methods that I was taught to write music at uni are probably more relevant if you're doing the more classical kind of thing. So, yeah, which isn't me. Like contemporary music has its own patterns and so on. I just don't enjoy the process of writing the music. But I think if there's anything I enjoy, it's probably performance. But the work that you need to do to get up to that stage of performance perhaps isn't worth it for me. Instead, well, I mean, I'm pursuing music, but I also have to balance work as a barista, girlfriend, factor of finding people on the same sort of. Ah, yeah, no, finding a band's really difficult and finding people to work with. I used to want to pursue art like drawing digital. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, I get you. Yeah, well, you could still do like, you know, if you do find a band, having those drawing and digital art skills could be handy for things like promotion, promotional posters, promotional images, album art. Um, yeah, you could potentially use those skills for that. I was doing a graphic design course online, which helped me when we were doing our EP, our Rainbow Death Ray EP, because I was able to design a lot of stuff myself, and we didn't have to pay. That was one less person we had to pay because I could do it. Now, I'm not saying it's the greatest job, but it was good enough, especially for a self-release. And I actually stopped that kind of around the time that I learned enough. Although they did have me doing like 20 coffee logos, and I don't like coffee, and I don't like the repetition. You know, like I get that we were trying to generate ideas, but I was just like, I hate this. I hate doing this. I would rather do art than design, I think. I think that's when I realized that. So that put me off that. I'm thinking of doing some YouTube stuff too. I already uploaded some covers and stuff occasionally, or original piece snippets. Don't really have any specific schedule. Yeah, look, with YouTube, I reckon just do things when you feel like it and when you have time. Like, I know there's some channels that have, you know, they upload once a week on a specific day, or they upload like every Tuesday and Friday, or whatever it might be. Um, but, you know, if it's just for you, you don't have to do that. And especially when you're starting off, you don't have to do that. Especially if you don't have like an established audience who expects you to be sticking to a schedule. Just do it whenever you feel like, because if you do it, like, you know, on your own terms and you enjoy it, I think it'll last longer, and it'll also show through. Although don't take my advice on YouTube, because like I ignore all the advice on YouTube, and I also started way back when things were very different. I started YouTube back when vlogging was the thing, and you didn't have all these sanitized corporate channels and highly produced, highly polished channels. It was very different back then. And so most of my following, especially some of my long-term followers, they jumped on back then. They've been following me for 10 years, more than 10 years, which is something I didn't expect. It's really interesting. Like, you know, when I started YouTubing again, I was actually surprised that people were still waiting for me. Yeah, so like the way that I started YouTube is very different to how you would do it today. But I have heard that it's still the case that you should do what you want to do to make it sustainable. Because if you're doing what you want to do, you're less likely to get bored, burn out, all that kind of stuff. And then if you want to take it further one day, that's when you can think about that. But yeah, so like if you, oh, wow, I'm just realizing how faded these pants are because I wear them so much. I just spotted this like, you know, they sort of look like these faded green, but then I found like a fold where it hasn't faded. Can you see that? Oh, it's so hard with this line. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Yeah, no, just do YouTube whenever you feel like it. You don't have to make it heaps polished either, because, you know, there's so many polished channels out there. I don't know, sometimes I feel like I kind of miss when things were a bit more Wild West, because like everyone's too polished now. And there are some channels where they try and do things vlog style, but like it's so, like it's scripted, and you can tell that it's scripted, and it's just like, I don't know. I don't know. YouTube's changed a lot. But hey, I guess all the things that they're doing work, because, you know, they end up with thousands of followers all over the place, and, you know, they can actually make a living off it. Whereas me sticking to just doing my own thing, it's just hobby, it's just pocket money. If like, you know, that I don't even know when I'm going to hit the next threshold for Google to send me any money either. I'm probably making more off doing their surveys. I'm in the you know, one of the product groups, and they send me surveys every now and then every 3 months you get a gift card of some kind. I can't even remember how I got into that. I think I must have signed up to some form or whatever. So yeah, for sure. YouTube back then, like back when the subscribe button was custom, was when it was wacky. Oh no, do you remember back when channels could be customized and like you could change the colors of different panels and there were these extra little boxes and then you could have this whole thing down the side and like say stuff about you on your front page instead of just having the videos and playlists there. And like I had black and purple and red color scheme going on, and instead of like buttons they had the 5 stars thing, and then they also had this thing where you could get your ranking shown, and so like in Sydney sometimes I would actually rank high because I guess I was one of the few people in Sydney doing what I do. And then you had like a specific category for like musicians and like different categories of channel, and so you could be the top in or the top 10 of like some category within some geography. There was all that, and then at some point they came in and just sanitized everything, so everyone's channel started looking the same, and it still is to some extent. Yeah, hello. What the fuck? YouTube used to be very different. It used to be more like social media rather than entertainment, I guess, like structured entertainment. Back then I had Kingdom Hearts background, but I used it back in 2010. Oh, okay, yeah. I guess they've made a few changes over the years. The whole star system. I never had like pictures in the background. Am I still live? It just sort of... I'm still on 60% battery, so it's not me. It must be... I feel like, you know, when I get up to the 2-hour point on my phone, YouTube freaks out. Oh, this rating videos, I see. I like this 5 stars, but they changed it because... No, I think the change to the star system was actually because most people either do 5 stars or 1 star, and so in that case you might as well just do likes and dislikes. Maybe some people would, like, you know, like overwhelmingly I'm pretty sure they found that people either did 5 stars or 1 star. Now sometimes you might do 3 stars if you felt neutral about it. But yes, the 4 and 2 are kind of rare for people to actually rate a video, so it is kind of redundant. And I think that's the official line in why they got rid of the 5-star system. And you also see some of that on, for example, Facebook. I think they used to have the 5-star system for their reviews, but I think these days they might have got rid of most of that, and now it's either you do recommend a page or you don't recommend. Yeah, there's plenty of places online that do use a star system, but yeah, some of them have decided it's not really worth it. People are too stupid to use. Yeah, well, I think though, because when you have an experience with a product, it's usually either good or bad or neutral. You know, you could maybe have a 3-star system, but that would look awkward. I think people are a bit less good at deciding when they kind of liked it, but not hugely, or they didn't really like, you know. And then also when you give feedback on something, you wouldn't bother unless you felt something particularly about it, I think in most cases. App Store users like for its app... Oh, I can't read. Yeah. I guess also, like, I think I probably would have been on YouTube after Google had taken over. I think they took over fairly quickly, but perhaps Google's influence started to change things. I don't know for sure. 5 stars. Yeah, I don't know. Sort of going off what I remember, you know, the excuse being, yeah, no, things have changed a lot on the internet, and it's a bit sad. You know, back when it was a bit more chaotic was a bit more fun for me, I think. But also I was more chaotic. But yeah, now it's like, you know, a lot of the channels out there, even if it looks like it's one person, half the time it turns out there's actually a team producing the videos. Or at the very least, some people outsource their editing to save time, I guess, which I can understand to a degree, but I don't know that I would trust someone else to edit my stuff. Ah, you know, a bit of that control freak kind of thing. But there are the, you know, I think I try and take on too much sometimes because I can be fairly sure that I'm going to do a better job than other people. Like a lot of people don't pay attention to detail, and it kind of annoys me. And you know, something that I've had to get used to is like there's no point trying to get someone to pay attention to a thing. Like it's easier if I just let a thing slide. Um, I don't want to give examples today, but I guess one of the most obvious is like the standards of editing when you're reading a news article, and there's a ridiculous amount of typos. But there's also things like people try and organize things with me, and they say that there's a certain things are going to happen, and then they don't happen, and I feel like I'm the only person who realizes that something hasn't happened, and you know I can ask for clarification, but or ask for whatever to be addressed, but a lot of the time it's just not worth it, I've realized. I stay away from trending all things. I don't care for, at least back when it was for trailers or announcement. Now it's just a video uploaded by someone that's on trending. Yeah, I don't pay a huge amount of attention to that either. I think I just get naturally a bit suspicious or wary when a lot of people are jumping onto something. Like, you know, whatever the latest Netflix trend is or whatever. I'm not sure why that is. Like, am I subconsciously trying to be contrarian on purpose? Or is it that people don't understand me? Therefore, if a lot of people are jumping onto a thing, chances are it's not something I'll like. I'm not listening to you. It depends on, I think with you, I'd be contrarian, but there's some situations where I'll just go along with whatever because it's easier. It's not worth it. Squid Game is trending right now. I don't know. Yeah, I've seen that going around, and I'm just like, I have no real desire to check it out. There's every chance that it's interesting and whatever, but I just don't have any interest. As like people were all into Game of Thrones a few years back, and I just never got into that. I've been talking too long. But yeah, no, I think my ex used to watch that, and anytime I walked in on him watching it, it was a sex scene, and I was just like, yeah, no, pretty sure this is not what I'm into. I know it had dragons and stuff, but that's not enough. That I need more than just dragons to get me interested, so I never watched it. It. What if it's worth watching? I don't think your tastes are the same as mine, though. Oh, I guess no one's tastes are really the same. Although, like, you know, back when YouTube, all you guys on YouTube introduced me to Fight Club, that was one of the few times that it worked out well. Also, my ex did find me some things. Like, he probably introduced me to Dexter. Game of Thrones, I got into it last season. I wasn't into it until I watched one of the best shows I watched. Oh, a lot of stuff is overhyped, you know. That overhyping is a thing that I get suspicious about. But yeah, no, Game of Thrones I never got into. Also, like, I just haven't been watching a lot of TV. Like, it's hard enough to sit down and watch Heroes, which is the current thing I'm on to. I guess it's like, you know, that's something I have to commit to if I'm going to actually get anything from it, right? Watching stuff. And I feel like if I sit down and just binge a TV show, then I'm wasting my time, which brings me back to the point of trying to quit or trying to pull back on how much I use Facebook, how much YouTube I watch, and how much Neopets I play. The same thing with like watching less TV shows. Okay, I've managed to save a lot of time by not doing these things, but what am I doing instead? I don't know, like, I don't know. You know, I'm trying to free up some time so that I can do other things, but I don't know what those other things are, and that's super frustrating, you know? And as I say, I've had some success in logging into Facebook less, watching YouTube less, and doing Neopets less. But apart from a bit of work on my plants, what have I achieved? Just sitting around, potting around the place. I think that might be family coming home, so I may have to go. Free time. Exactly that. Step 1, free time. Step 2, step 3, profit. But if that is family coming home, what time is it? Yeah, it's almost 3 o'clock, they're due home. So I probably have to say goodbye. But yeah, thank you for chilling with me. I guess that gave me something to do for a bit. And now I've got to figure out what to do next. I guess I'll make some tea. And then, what time? I think at 4 o'clock, now that daylight savings is on, 4 o'clock is when the Snowager is awake on Neopets. So it's a bit too early to peace out. Hope you figure it out. Goodbye, first stream. Yeah, I'm sorry. You can watch some of the replay though for what I said earlier. It seems like the first half the audience was one lot of people and the second half the audience was another lot of people. I'll stretch it out as long as I can before they actually come in, but I thought I heard my little brother walking down the street. He can be quite loud. So we've probably got a few minutes before they get here. Yeah, no, so what am I gonna do? I'm gonna go and make some tea. That'll be the main thing for sure. Tea, sit in my room. I suppose if I get really bored, I could play more of that video game. I don't know how many of you are interested in seeing me keep playing that. The only thing is, if I do it when everyone's home, there's a lot of noise, because, you know, my little brother's got disabilities, he yells a lot, and I don't know that I want that in the background. Also, I don't know that I want people walking in while I'm talking to myself. There's Mum. There's Mikey. Hi! Okay, bye everyone. We gotta end the stream. Bye!